Archer and Pine, circulating the black dollar since 1921. Go to archerpine.com now.
And welcome to the Archer and Pine podcast. My special guest, Erica Ahmed, joining us. Again, we like to share our artisan stories. And Erica, again, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So, Erica, let's find out a little bit about you before we get into your product and the things that you've created. So, what's your background?
So, my background is in mental health and public health. I've been in that space for about 20 years, and I've done a lot in the space of health communications and consulting for government agencies at the federal and state, local levels.
And so, what got you? How did you go from that into becoming this? Creative, entrepreneurial person?
It was purely out of necessity. I had no inkling or even desire to become an entrepreneur or small business owner. But after giving birth to my daughter, she was born with very sensitive skin. And so, long story short, in our journey to find something that would work for her in terms of cleaning products and skincare products, what was available at that time, this is over a decade ago, first of all, there was a paucity of resources and products available, and what was there, it just didn't work, and a lot of them were still very much, even though they said they were dye-free, they were still very, very much laden with a lot of chemicals. So I started just coming up with my own recipes and my own products that would actually work for my daughter, because I didn't know what to do.
I love it. So out of necessity sprang forth this great idea. Now, where do you begin? I'm always just like fascinated with people who have these types of stories. Where do you begin? I mean, you're not a scientist. How did you know certain things would be cleaning agents?
Yeah, I'm definitely not. Right, absolutely did not train to become a chemist, natural and or plant-based. And so I didn't come sort of like with a blank slate in that space. And so not only did I know about some of the things that were available, I had adopted that mindset early on. But in terms of how to put things together and what would work for, something topical for baby skin, or in terms of washing with it, that I did not know. And so that was just a lot of just sort of sweat equity and just doing research and trial by error.
I love it. And so what is the name of your company?
The company is called the Green Laundress.
I love it. And how did that come to you?
That came to be because, again, I started out with developing laundry products, but I wanted to be clear that what we were doing was in the space of being green, in the space of being healthy, natural, and non-toxic.
And that was before, again, now it's such a craze. Back then, you were still out there. You were in the space.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you were in
absolutely.
the space. Now, I won't say alone, but you were out there, ahead of the curve.
Yeah, well, I do say that I was, pioneering early on, yeah.
And that must feel good to know that your idea, was a special idea. And nowadays, even the huge companies are getting into it. But again, they still can't do it like you do it. It's interesting. A lot of times when you have bigger companies, you almost feel like that they have an advantage because they'll get it right. But I think in the line that you're in, I almost feel like I would trust your product more than I would trust a big company,
Well, yeah, because they have a history of not getting it right, and all of a sudden they're on board to get it right. Then they mass produce their stuff, and there's a lot of different hands that it has to touch and sort of go through. So sometimes some things are lost, and then there's the issue also of product integrity.
And that's the thing we love about, your product and what you're bringing to Archer and Pine. Our site really is about creators like you, not necessarily about driven by a price point, but really driven by not only the unique story, but the quality and the love that goes into what you're doing. You didn't start this just to get rich. You started it with a genuine cause, and that's exactly the kind of stories we love sharing. So we're so excited about you joining us on Archer Pine.
To piggyback on what you said, it came initially out of necessity, which became a labor of love and ultimately evolved into what is now my passion.
Love it. Love it. So you can, if they want to reach you, Erica, how can people reach you?
Yes, we can be reached at, you can visit us at www.thegreenlaundress.com, or feel free to email us at customer care, one word, at thegreenlaundress.com. That's customer care at thegreenlaundress.com. Or you can visit us on Instagram at The Green Laundress or tweet us at Green Laundress.
Thanks so much, Erica. We wish you much success. I love your products, and I think they're special. And I can't, hey, don't forget about us when you blow all the way up, okay?
I definitely will not. And thank you all so much. I appreciate it. Have a great evening.
The Archer and Pine Podcast, featuring stories about Black artisans, designers, and creators.